Hello, everyone. You're listening to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory.
And I'm Abby.
And we are changing culture and bringing back traditional values. So today is a special bonus episode about the Gabby Petito. Am I saying it right?
I think that's right.
Okay, the Gabby Petito case. It is something that has swept the nation. My true crime heart was like, oh, this is fascinating, but then I just saw it everywhere, and I have friends that like are not interested in true crime, were asking questions, and my dad even like I said something and he was like, oh, have they found her yet? And I was like, wow, my dad even cares. And my dad is like so against all that stuff. He's a lawyer.
My dad's the same way. He thinks it's really weird that I'm so interested in this.
Yeah. My dad's a lawyer and he used to do like criminal stuff. So he like, even my obsession with like Criminal Minds and Law and Order, he's like, this is not, I don't know why you like all this. And I'm like, well,
he's seen a
like,
very different side of it from most people.
Yeah, that's what he always is like, it is not what this entertainment. I was like, yeah, but this is my form of entertainment. But yeah, even my dad was interested. So that's when I knew. I was like, okay, this is something that's like not, this is something different. So yeah, we're just going to talk a little bit about it. We had mentioned before we started recording that by the time this episode comes out, there could be a plethora of different changes, things that we didn't know happened and things that we did know happened. I don't know. So much can change. This is changing. It feels like by the day. This past week, nothing's really changed, right? All that's happening right now is they're just still looking for Brian.
Yeah, I think so. I think since they've kind of found the body and done the autopsy, it seems like they're just looking for Brian at this point because he's really the only source of any evidence that they're going to find.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the only update we've had this week. But honestly, by the time we finish even recording this, they could have found him and anything can happen. So I'm supposed to call you Gabby. Abby. Let's go over the timeline.
All right. So I kind of want to start off giving just some background so that we can kind of set the stage.
Perfect.
So Gabby, who we all know, her full name, Gabrielle Venora Petitto, which I think is just the most beautiful, elegant name I have ever heard in my life. Also, I've never heard of the name Venora, which I think is beautiful.
That is so beautiful. Oh my goodness.
Isn't
Venora.
that nice?
Yeah. It. Oh, that's beautiful.
She was born on March 19th, 1999. So she was only 22 years old.
Oh God, she's a child.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she started dating her partner, Brian Laundrie, in 2019. So Gabby and Brian are both from Blue Point, New York, which is on Long Island.
Okay.
But they had been living at Brian's parents' house in Northport, Florida for the past 2 years. So also one more thing to note is Gabby's parents are divorced. So there's a lot of like parents at play in this story because they're both remarried. So Nicole Schmidt is Gabby's mom, and she's married to Gabby's stepdad, Jim Schmidt. Gabby's dad is Joe Petitto, and he is married to Gabby's stepmom, Tara Petitto. So she has like 4 parents essentially.
I mean, technically if they weren't crazy, she would have even had 6, because if she was living with his family, you would think that would be like their daughter. So quick question. Yeah. Joe Petitto, he's the one that's the police officer, right? Because there's someone that had like a police officer shirt on or something during an interview, I think.
That is possible. He did do a press conference in Northport, Florida, I believe. We'll get to it at some point, but I think that might be what you're thinking of.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start from kind of the beginning of it all, which was July 2nd, 2020, which is when Gabby and Brian announced their engagement. So the kind of weird thing about this is it's exactly 1 year to the date before they left on their trip.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah.
And they've been engaged for almost for a year and some change.
Over a year, yeah, by the time this all unraveled. Yeah, so
interesting.
They announced it on Instagram, as you know, Gabby was a big Instagrammer, and Brian was too, or is, who knows. But,
we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But anyways, yeah, so on December 11th, 2020, Gabby and Brian purchased their van. The van is a 2012 Ford Transit, and they converted the inside of it to allow for like camping, so they could sleep in the van, and they could also cook inside of it, like meals while they were traveling. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, if you're into that.
Then, yeah, I mean, right? It's better than like paying for a hotel everywhere you go.
Yeah.
So on July 2nd, 2021, like I mentioned, exactly a year after they got engaged, Gabby and Brian departed on their planned 4-month cross-country trip. So the couple, they had been living in North Point, Florida, but at the time that they departed on their trip, they departed from Blue Point, New York, because they were there spending time with family for Gabby's younger brother's high school graduation. So we're starting in New York.
Okay.
And the Petitto family's attorney mentioned that Gabby and Brian had gotten engaged, but they kind of held off on wedding planning because of the pandemic. And so they kind of like just went in this other direction and bought the van and decided to travel a little bit. And I personally think that maybe they held off on wedding planning because their relationship was kind of rocky.
That's what it sounds like.
I'm guessing they probably didn't want to just come right out and say that. So.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So their trip sounded amazing. So I will now list off the places that they hit up into the point where, you know, it got weird. So on July 4th, they went to Monument Rock, Kansas. July 8th, they went to Colorado Springs, Colorado. July 10th, Great Sand Dunes National Park and Preserve in Colorado. July 16th, Zion National Park, Utah. July 21st, Bryce Canyon National Park, Utah. July 26th, Mystic Hot Springs, Utah. July 29th, Canyonlands National Park, Utah. And August 12th, Arches National Park, Utah. Mallory, have you been to any of those places?
I went into a building in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and that's about it. It is beautiful.
So beautiful. That's it. That's the only one I've been to on the list too. I went to the Olympic Training Center there when I was in high school with my swim team because we had a connection, not because I was going to the Olympics.
I was like, wait a second, that could be, we should just interview you for a regular episode.
No. That was not ever on my radar, but going to the Olympic Training Center was really cool.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
I was there for something with Focus on the Family, and that's where their headquarters is Colorado Springs. That's what is sad also too, is like those are really cool, fun places that everybody wants to go eventually. I mean, I've always wanted to go to, what was the one right after Colorado Springs?
Great Sand Dunes National Park and Preserve.
I've always wanted to go to a sand dunes. That sounds so cool.
I've seen pictures of this place and it looks incredible. Honestly, reading through this list, I was like, this sounds like the trip of a lifetime. Like, I want to take this trip with my boyfriend.
Yeah,
and that's amazing.
Scary though, like how everything ended, and how, I mean, I guess it also just shows that like everything can be fine and then literally in a blink of a second. Well, actually, we don't know if everything was fine.
Right.
I guess we'll get to that too. Yeah, wow.
So August 12th was kind of the first indication of trouble in paradise.
Okay.
When authorities were called when Brian and Gabby got into an altercation in Moab City, Utah.
And that's the video that we've all
seen. This is the video that everyone's seeing, like floating around. This was like the police officer had a body cam, and on, I have it written down, September 16th, they released the body cam footage. So what happened was, so I read two different things, so I'm not really exactly sure what happened. I read in one place that the Moab City Police Department was called by like a witness bystander saying like they saw this couple fighting, but then I read somewhere else that like they were driving and Brian like was speeding and like swerved off the road, and so they pulled them over. So I don't know exactly what happened.
Okay, so I think from Crime Junkies episode, I think what happened was they were told to follow this vehicle, and then he started to swerve, and they were following the vehicle, and then he started to swerve, and they're like, okay, this is weird. So then they pulled. So I think it's a combination of both.
Right. Well, yeah, I know from my criminal procedure class, they can't just pull you over for no reason. So if he wasn't actually breaking any laws, they can't pull him over. But once he swerved, they could. So
yeah,
that's probably what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So when officers arrived at the scene, they encountered Gabby, Brian, and a witness who wants to remain anonymous. So 3 people.
Okay, so there was someone else there.
Yeah, I don't know
But
that
they're
they
not
stuck around
in.
the whole time because that was the only mention of them. But
Okay, that's interesting because they're not in the body cam footage. I don't
yeah,
remember seeing
I
anyone
think they just
else.
wanted to like make sure it was all good and then like get out.
Oh,
You
okay,
know?
okay,
So,
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
yeah. And I totally get that because, yeah. Anyway, keep going.
Right. So again, the 2 were reported to have been in a physical fight following an argument that started because Brian climbed into the van with dirty feet, which I'm kind of like, okay, that's like a really little thing to be getting mad about. I guess it is where they're living, but I don't know. I just think that's kind of more an indication that like things were kind of tense with them if a huge fight like this is going to start over something so stupid.
And that's what I was going to say. I think this is just an example of they're living together. They have no break from each other. No matter what, they cannot get away from each other. They're living together. They're already having issues. I think it's one of those straw and camel's back situations. And like, yeah, I guess you're right. Like, we're trying to live in this space and now you're dirty, but it should not have become something big enough to almost crash a car.
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, it kind of made me wonder like if this had maybe been a pattern for them getting in like fights over stupid stuff that just like blew up. And I almost wonder if maybe they decided to take this big trip as like a sort of way to like fix their relationship, like get away from everything. Like,
yeah.
but you know, then you kind of think it's only geography, you know, you're still with the same person, you're still in the same relationship, you still have the same issues. Like,
the same
they're pretty young and maybe thought, oh, this will fix everything.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So who knows? I'm just speculating.
Yeah.
So
we're just speculating.
Right. So Gabby admitted to slapping Brian, and she said she did it because she thought he was going to leave her there, which I was like, ooh, that's heavy.
That's scary. And that, I mean, that just leads credence to, okay, they're really not getting along well. They're arguing. It seems like they're arguing a lot. And so I don't know if you're going to get into this, but doesn't he in the video say that he thought she was going to leave him too?
Yeah, I think he did. There was a lot said.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And the video's a good, I think it's like 10-15 minutes. Like if you watch the whole thing through. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff said. It's like they're trying to blame each other, but they're also trying to protect each other. So
right. And that's what I was going to say. Like, they're both afraid that, and I just think that just red flag. They are together too much. Like, I just keep thinking, like, I don't know. I love all of my friends. I love all of my family, but I cannot imagine being in a van for 4 months with the same person. I'm not in a relationship right now, so maybe, one day I'll meet someone and that's not that strange. My mom said, oh, I love to be with my husband all that time, but I know myself. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine the stress, never getting time for yourself. And I'm an extrovert, but there are times where I'm like, I need you not to talk. Let me focus on this one thing. I just can't. So all of that on top of that, it seemed like it was almost a recipe for disaster.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think to a certain extent, even extroverts, everyone needs their alone time,
Yeah.
Focus on you. And even if you are like in a really happy, healthy relationship, like I am. So, but I mean, honestly, like, I love spending time with my boyfriend. I adore him, but there are times where I'm like, can you just like go over there for 15 minutes?
Like, yeah. But if you're in a van, I mean, I guess you could do what I'm, thinking, and I think it kind of, we'll talk about this a little bit too, I think later in the timeline, but I guess the time away would be like you're at your destination. So you guys just walk separate parts of the park and like maybe sit down by yourself, but still that's just not.
But then there's like a safety thing too. It's like,
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, exactly.
But then I don't know if I'd want to be away. Like if I'm at this big massive park with my boyfriend, why would I want to not be with him? Because yeah. So it's
right. So,
I mean, that's a lifestyle for a select few of people.
You gotta be, like really ready for that. So when we go on a trip like this. I'm guessing they probably didn't fully think through, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be with this person and only this person for 4 months.
No, and really quick to that point, she's young and like she's trying to do the whole travel blogger thing. And I have tried that. I have a travel page. I mean, I haven't been anywhere in 2 years because of, I haven't been able to leave the country. Like mine, I wanted to do international. So I know like that you're just kind of trying to do it. You're not thinking the full thing through. You're not really thinking like, okay, this person, you're thinking, oh, we have such good times. He makes me really happy. Let's go do this. Okay, let's take our picture. Let's do this, blah, blah, blah. You're not, I doubt they thought the whole thing through.
To go off that too, like, I think if she really was trying to get this whole travel blog off the ground, she probably was like, well, this trip is the perfect way to do that. And like, even if things aren't great, I can make it look online like they are.
Exactly. So
in her mind, she was like, as long as I can get this travel blog off the ground, it'll be fine. Like, so yeah. All right. We just got off on a big tangent.
Right. Okay. Reel it in.
All right. Reeling it in. So next, Gabby admitted to slapping Brian, claimed she thought he was going to leave her in Moab. Brian also had visible scratches on his arms, face, and neck, so it was clearly like a violent physical argument. Police took photographs of it. Gabby was almost arrested. They almost like booked her, but both her and Brian like pleaded with police to let her go, claiming they were in love, they were engaged, they were going to get married, and like desperately did not want anyone charged with a crime. So police were kind of like, okay, like we'll let you go. And Brian agreed to separate from Gabby for the night, and he was put up in a hotel by a domestic assault outreach group, which I thought was interesting.
Yes. Okay. So two things I want to say about this little section really quick. I remember the first time seeing that video and being like, okay, I'm pro-woman. Absolutely not a feminist, but I'm pro-woman. It was a little sketch to see him with scratches and not her. I remember thinking like, okay, but she's the one missing. All right, so why does he have scratches? I remember that being a little strange. And then Inside Edition, not the world's greatest journalism source, but I will say they'll show videos and stuff that like other people won't show. They showed the video, they showed the camera footage of Brian going into the hotel, the domestic violence hotel or whatever it was. And this, my brother and I saw it and we like laughed because he looked so happy and relieved. And I don't know, like that to me, I was just kind of like, okay, like at that point. So this was before we knew, the things we know now. But I'll be honest, at that point, I was kind of like, okay, something is off about this. Like he's the one with the scratches. He even in the video, he said that he didn't want her to go to jail. He asked if he could take her place. So I remember thinking, there's also no one on this earth I'd go to jail for. So he must really love her because I mean, I would have been like, all right, well, tell me what time to pick him up. Who do I need to call? Like I wouldn't have done that. I also
just wonder if he said, no, I'll go to jail instead because he was trying to look like a macho big guy. And then like if the cops would have actually, which they never would, have been like, okay, sure, we'll arrest you instead. He probably would have been like, whoa, wait.
Like, and what if he knew there was no way and he was just kind of trying to say that?
That's what I'm saying is like, he probably just wanted to look like the knight in shining armor, like.
Well, well, I saw that and then he just looked so happy and relieved. Like he had a huge smile walking into this hotel. And I just remember thinking, okay, there's definitely more to the story than like this girl is missing. Because I mean, and also too, I feel like at one point, the media, because the reality is, and I think we'll talk about this later, the reality is we're getting our information from the media, from social media and TV media. So anyway, the media did seem to be painting Gabby as kind of the more aggressive, like maybe she almost to the degree of like maybe she did something to him type and he just retaliated or something like that. That seemed to be the vibe I was getting watching it for a while. Especially, like, I just cannot get the guy's smile out of his face. He's like, he looked so happy and relieved to be in this hotel. And I mean, I guess now looking back, I guess he could have just been happy to like get a shower as opposed to just being away from her. Because in my head, I was like, I wonder if she's doing something or they're fighting a lot, so he wants to be away from her. But I mean, I guess he could have just been happy to get a shower.
Or he might have felt like he won almost.
Oh, because he deceived them so well.
Oh, I get put up in this hotel and she has to sleep in the van.
Yeah.
That could have been part of it.
That's a good point.
But another thing I thought about too is the police, like, or I guess it wasn't technically the police, it was this like domestic assault outreach group, put Brian up in this hotel and then left Gabby to sleep in this van by herself. Like, this young woman is supposed to sleep in this van by herself. That seems unsafe to me. Like,
absolutely.
Why wouldn't they just put them up in separate hotels?
Well, okay, but here's the thing. Once again, with just the information we had, Brian was the one with the scratches. And I think that like if he didn't have
the victim.
Yeah, if he didn't have
the perceived victim.
The perceived victim.
Yeah.
If he didn't have the scratches, I think for the domestic violence people, the police, everyone else's would have gone. So if the reality is, if Gabby was the one with the scratches, Brian would have been in jail. There's no, I have no doubt in my mind, and Gabby probably would be alive today. Like, I have no doubt they would have sent him straight. They probably wouldn't have even questioned him as like kindly as they questioned Gabby. Because also too, I mean, when we look at the comparison, Gabby is really small. I mean, Brian's not that big either, but Gabby's really small. And I mean, I'm sure, I don't know, that is a very good point. They didn't even like try to help her. But I mean, who knows what those people, they might have been thinking, because I mean, on the surface, because think about it, if it was, I know for myself, if I saw a woman that was hurt, my friend, get the man, is he in jail? Like, do something. So I'm guessing that's probably similar to what they thought.
They're trying to be like fair about it, maybe,
right?
Like,
unbiased.
We can't discriminate based on whether the guy's being abused or the girl's being abused. I guess there's probably a certain element of that too. I'm guessing a domestic assault outreach group is probably very conscious of that kind of stuff too.
Right.
So
now thinking about it, I bet they feel kind of bad too. I know, because of how everything.
All of these people. I mean, how must those police officers feel for not arresting her? Had they arrested her, she probably would still be alive.
I mean, I
could never imagine having to live with that.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they did anything wrong, but like hindsight is 2020, you know?
Right. I can't even imagine. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Once again, they didn't do anything. The only person who did something wrong was Brian. That's the only person who did something wrong.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Allegedly. The only person who did something wrong was Brian, allegedly. So, but still, I mean, I just can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's just how things worked out. So they released the body camera footage and it just like swept the nation. I think that is what really triggered the huge, just everyone stopping and watching this case.
I think so too. I think it started off like amongst true crime community, like, oh, this is interesting. So I remember on Morbid, they mentioned it because apparently she was a fan of Morbid. And then they released the body cam, and they did that on like World News, on Inside Edition. I want to say it was even on, maybe not Entertainment Tonight, but like Fox News, CNN, like
I started getting like updates on the Gabby Petito case from my Fox News app. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. Like when the news started showing it, I was like, okay, this isn't just amongst our little true crime community. Now this is something that like the whole country, at the very least, I want to say the world, but maybe not the world, but like the whole country is paying attention to.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's interesting because I feel like we don't see cases like this very often, where the entire country just stops and watches, and everyone, like people in my class tonight were talking about it. People at work today were talking about it. It's everywhere. Yeah. It's insane. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So August 25th then was Gabby's last known whereabouts, which was in Grand Teton, Wyoming. The couple was headed towards Yellowstone National Park. Gabby's stepdad, Jim Schmidt, claims Gabby communicated regularly with her mom and the rest of the family, stating, quote, she would go off the grid, doing her van life stuff, exploring these different areas. So it wasn't uncommon for her to go off for a few days at a time, but she'd always make her way back to some place where she could get onto a Wi-Fi connection, upload to her Instagram, make phone calls, FaceTime, which I believe, because she seemed very attached to her phone, her Instagram, social media, all of that kind of stuff.
She seems, and you know, we'll get to this when we discuss this toward the end, but like she seemed like somebody that like I probably would have known and been friends with. And like we're all love these phones, like we're never not
right
with them.
Like if a close friend of mine who I text regularly, if I didn't hear from them for a couple of days, I would be like, is something wrong? Do I need to get the authorities involved?
Right, especially also too if I saw they weren't posting on social media, because she stopped posting too, and like especially if I knew they were keeping up some sort of like social media blog presence, I'd be like, okay,
are they mad at me then?
Yeah.
Right. So then August 30th is when Gabby's family received their last communication from her. Last communication, I put in air quotes. I'll get to it though. So Gabby's mom, Nicole Schmidt, got a text sent from Gabby's phone that read, quote, "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls," quote. So Stan is Gabby's grandfather, but her mom said Gabby never called him Stan. So it was just an all-around strange message for her to get. Also, she was like, you're on this trip, like you're calling your grandfather, like what? So Nicole, Gabby's mom, maintains that the message was not normal behavior for Gabby, and it caused her to worry, and that she's unsure if it was really Gabby that sent that message. So that's just kind of another like strange thing. They haven't heard from her in a while, and now they get this weird message. And I mean, I guess at this point it's been 5 days, so they're probably like, oh, she's probably just in an area of the country where she doesn't have a lot of reception, like hopefully things are fine. I'm sure we'll hear from her tomorrow or in a couple days or something. I mean, I think you want to think the best in these sort of situations.
Right. Unless you're like my mom, 9 times out of 10, like you're just going to okay, I haven't heard today. Like, I feel like I'll use for myself, for example, like my brother and I talk semi-regularly. We weren't living together. I mean, I guess the most we would, if we didn't like talk on the phone or like text, we would send each other stuff on like Twitter or Instagram. If I didn't hear back from him, or like if we hadn't had any communication for like, I'll say 3 or 4 days, then I'd kind of be like, I hope everything's okay. But I think for the most part, you just kind of just like, life's busy, like things happen. Like you're not thinking about, you don't jump to this conclusion. This is most people's not first thought.
Yeah. And I mean, Gabby's an adult. She's 22. She's on this amazing trip. Like, I'm sure her family was like, you know, she probably doesn't have Wi-Fi. She's probably just off having fun living her life, you know?
Right.
So then on September 1st, Brian returned to the home in Northport, Florida that he and Gabby shared with his parents, but Gabby was not with him.
And it was with the van, right?
He drove himself back in the van, yes.
Okay.
Without Gabby. And just, this is when he starts to go silent, essentially. Like, so then September 11th, so that's 10 days later, Gabby's family reported her missing to the Suffolk County Police Department in New York at approximately 6:55 p.m. So that same night, the Suffolk County Police got in touch with the Northport Police, and they sent officers to Brian's house. So police knocked on the door to the house because they wanted to talk to him about Gabby, ask like, where is she? Like, what's going on? You know?
Yeah.
He was kind of the only one with her, the only source of information. So they knocked on the door. Brian's parents open the door, don't say anything, just hand the officer a note with a lawyer's phone number on it, and then shut the door. What do we think about that?
Okay. My thoughts have changed a lot from the beginning. Initially, my initial thought was, wow, this man's guilty. Like, that is crazy. Then my thought after that was, well, what if something happened and it was an accident? And honestly, the best thing to always do is not say a word. When you get in trouble with the law, when people get in trouble on social media and like they get canceled, the best thing to do is not say a word. So I was like, okay, maybe he's kind of like, it was an accident and he panicked, so he came home. So technically, don't say anything, and eventually, like it'll work out. But then, now we know that is a homicide. Homicide. I don't know why I'm saying like homicide. I don't know why I'm saying like that.
I do that all the time.
That is a homicide. So now I'm like, okay, I guess he really is guilty. Like I was hoping that it was an accident, but if it's homicide, then it's homicide.
Yeah, I just think, based on my armchair expertise when it comes to true crime stuff, this would be very strange behavior for an innocent person.
Really? I think it's strange.
That's what I think.
So to me, I'm thinking it's strange for someone guilty, because if I'm thinking about it myself and like about everybody else we see, if usually they're like, oh, you know what? I left her there and I'll go with you. Like they're kind of like trying to buddy it up. That's why I thought maybe he was innocent. Because I feel like the Scott Petersons, the Chris Watts of the world, they kind of were like, yeah, let me help you out the best I can. Yeah,
but that's also how they got caught. So yes, I wonder if he was thinking, you know what? Like in his mind, he was like, I did something bad. I think my only way out of this is to just shut my mouth and not say anything. I think that could be it, because honestly, that is, if he's guilty, which I personally think he is.
Yeah.
That's going to be his best bet, is to just not say anything, because he really is the only source of evidence here. Like, if he doesn't say anything and he avoids police and just, shuts down, becomes a recluse, they're not going to have enough evidence on him.
Yeah.
So
that's a very good point. I mean, this man will never have peace again, though. I mean, his face is he will not be able to go anywhere in the US. Maybe Alaska. I don't even know. Maybe not Alaska. He's not gonna be able to go anywhere in the US without people recognizing him. He will never see peace.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think, especially as her fiance, if he truly was innocent, first of all, he wouldn't have driven home by himself. He would have himself called the authorities. He would have been like, here's the last place I saw her. I don't know where she went. Like, please let me do anything I can to help find her. I just want to find her. I just want her to be safe. Like, I mean, I don't like to assume how I would react in a situation, because I don't know, because I'm not in that situation.
Yeah.
But
a rational person is going to say, hi, this person that I love and I want to spend the rest of my life with is missing. Can you help me? Let me help you. And that's I think that's a safe assumption. A rational person would do that. Yeah. I mean, I don't I just thought it was so weird that he just automatically, and I think, we'll talk about it a little bit, but I think this aspect too is what gets people like, oh, I'm interested now. Like, I know this is what got me interested. When I heard that he came back without her and that he just said, here's my lawyer, I was like, oh, that's different.
Yeah. So on September 15th, the North Point police named Brian a person of interest in Gabby's disappearance, which I was kind of like, well, duh. But
right. Good job. Okay.
Do your due diligence, I guess.
You're caught up. All right. We on the true crime community, we already named him, but that's okay. You go ahead and make it official.
Literally every true crime podcast I listen to, all of them say it's always the husband, it's always the boyfriend, it's always the wife, it's always the significant other.
Right.
I mean, granted, that's not always true, but we like to joke about it. Exactly. So in response to Brian being named a person of interest, Brian's attorney issued the following statement, quote, "Many people are wondering why Mr. Laundrie would not make a statement or speak with law enforcement in the face of Miss Petito's absence. In my experience, intimate partners are often the first person law enforcement focuses their attention on in cases like this, and the warning that any statement made will be used against you is true, regardless of whether my client had anything to do with Miss Petito's disappearance. As such, on the advice of counsel, Mr. Laundrie is not speaking on the matter. I have been informed that the Northport, Florida police have named Brian Laundrie as a person of interest in this matter. This formality has not really changed the circumstances of Mr. Laundrie being the focus engine of law enforcement, and Mr. Laundrie will continue to remain silent on the advice of counsel. Very lawyerly statement. But yeah.
That sounds like a good lawyer. I haven't really been keeping up with the lawyers aspect of it. I've just kind of been keeping up with
I have a little bit more. So
okay. Keep going.
Oh, no. That was all of the statement, but I have a statement from Gabby's family's lawyer coming up in a little bit here. So,
okay.
So yeah, basically he said like, yeah, I know Brian's not cooperating, but that's not going to change. So
yeah, so y'all figure it out.
Okay, all right. I mean, I guess that was what you were hired to do, lawyer.
Yeah. I mean, everything he said at the beginning was true. And once again, that's why like I was like, okay, maybe he is innocent. He's doing all of the things, but then my mind would also go to like, but he just came home. He didn't tell anybody. He didn't say ask for help. So I was like, well, maybe he like snapped and like maybe they were on some sort of I had all these theories.
I don't know. I mean, it's literally it could be anything because the only person who knows is Brian. Like,
yep.
Crazy. But anyways, so September 16th, the very next day, Northport police held a news conference where Gabby's dad begged for her safe return and specifically asked Brian to speak up and participate in the investigation. At this news conference, the Schmidt and Petitto family, so that's her mom and stepdad and her dad and stepmom, so all four parents, are represented by this attorney, essentially. So their attorney read a very heartfelt letter addressed to the Laundrie family, and I'm going to read it because I think it's important. This is the last thing I'm reading, though, I promise.
Okay, no, this is important, so it's good.
Christopher and Roberta Laundrie. We are writing this letter to ask you to help find our beautiful daughter. We understand you are going through a difficult time and your instinct to protect your son is strong. We ask you to put yourselves in our shoes. We haven't been able to sleep or eat and our lives are falling apart. We believe you know the location where Brian left Gabby. We beg you to tell us. As a parent, how could you let us go through this pain and not help us? As a parent, how could you put Gabby's younger brothers and sisters through this? Gabby lived with you for over a year. She was going to be your daughter-in-law. How can you keep her location hidden? You were both at Jim and Nicole's house. You were both so happy that Brian and Gabby got engaged and were planning to spend their lives together. Please, if you or your family has any decency left, please tell us where Gabby is located. Tell us if we are even looking in the right place. All we want is Gabby to come home. Please help us make that happen. Signed, Jim Schmidt, Nicole Schmidt, Joe Petitto, and Tara Petitto.
That is so sad.
That my heart broke reading that.
Yeah, that is so sad.
So sad that these people that they trusted with their daughter have turned their backs on them in such a big way in such a time of need.
Yeah. And it really kind of like they're trying to protect their son. And I think, you know, I don't want to come off like bitter when I say this, but I think we should all just also be cognizant, especially moms, but like parents are not like, they're going to pick their kid over you any day of the week. I mean, I would like the idea to think that like most people just out of human decency, like if their child did something so horrendous, like that they would speak up. But at the end of the day though, like parents, they're going to pick their child over you. Like, don't ever think that. And, you know, in-laws, don't ever think that your in-laws are not going to be on your husband's side. They're, I mean, especially the mom, like they're always going to pick their kids. And I think this is just like a tiny reminder, but I do think this is a special circumstance. Like, I hope to God that like this isn't normal. Like moms don't normally do this.
It's a tough situation, but any moral human being would, if I were Brian's mom, I mean, obviously, again, I'm not in this situation, so I don't know what I would do. But I like to think that if I were Brian's mom, I would be like, okay, Brian, we're gonna go, you're gonna turn yourself in, and we're gonna get you just the best defense lawyer we possibly can.
Yeah.
And that's how it's gonna be. Like, you have to own up to what you did. You have to tell them everything you know. Like, this is I'm sorry, but like, this is just a personal responsibility thing. Like, you made the choices you made. You like, and now you have to own up to it. Like, that's I don't know.
I hope, like, I would like to think that, but I don't know. Like, I've just seen parents defend their kids. Like, it's so I mean,
and we've talked about this before. I mean, in the Casey Anthony case, like,
right, like her
mom just standing by her, you know, and I think this is kind of a similar thing where they just they don't want to believe that their son could do something like this, and they're just trying to protect him at any cost.
And my brother made a good point. He said, I bet his story, he probably told them a truth or the full story, and I bet in his story he's definitely not the aggressor. She did something to him, so they could even be thinking that, like, I don't know, I'm just throwing the allegedly, I'm not saying this happened, but I'm just thinking like something that would make a mom want to protect her child. Like, maybe they were somewhere and Gabby pulled a gun on him and he had to protect himself, so he murdered her, but then like it doesn't look that way because he doesn't know, and blah blah blah. I don't know. Like,
and here's the thing too, is I think that if Brian ever does decide to talk, he's gonna craft something up like that. I mean, his lawyer's gonna coach him. He's gonna say that he was just protecting himself. I just know that's what's gonna happen. So it angers me so much to know that we may never know the truth on this.
I think so. I agree. And I think the only way we would ever know the truth is if he unalives himself. And I'm using that word so we don't get in trouble, because if you use the other word, it gets really messy. But if he unalives himself and he leaves a note, I think if he unalives himself and leaves a note, I think that would be the only way. That could be the possible truth. Even then he could be lying, but like but if he ever gets found, whatever we hear is not going to be the truth. Like you said, it's not going to be the truth.
Yeah. I don't know, but then you think about Chris Watts, and he like crafted up a tale about what happened, but then he eventually told the truth. So it's like,
that's true. Yeah,
it could happen. You never know. I mean, I was never expecting Chris Watts to tell the truth.
Yeah, me neither.
He did, so.
Yeah, you're right. I guess it is possible. It's just, it's hard for me to believe, and we really don't, like, we have zero point of reference. We have absolutely no idea what happened because we don't know where he is. We can't. Anyway, we'll get to that. All
right. Moving right along. So September 17th, the Laundrie family reported Brian missing. So police said Laundrie's attorney contacted authorities Friday because...
Okay, wait, pause for 2 seconds. September 17th. When did the video come out?
The day before. The September 16th.
Interesting. Continue.
So, Laundrie's attorney contacted authorities Friday, which was the 17th, because the family wanted to discuss his disappearance, and they told police they hadn't seen Brian since Tuesday. They searched the Laundrie's house and they removed some items. They're not at this point sharing a lot about the investigation because it's still ongoing,
which I think is probably and it's probably best for right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Because really, never mind. I can say it toward when we get to the other stuff. Continue.
Okay. So police said on Twitter that it was the first time the Laundrie family had spoken with them in detail about the case at all. And they really didn't say much. So so now, as of right where we're at right in the timeline right now, September 17th, both Brian and Gabby are considered missing persons.
I remember hearing that and being like,
I was so mad.
Who's writing this? I remember thinking, okay, what movie is this? Is this Lifetime? Oh no, is this Black Mirror? Did they make it in real life?
I was like, the amount of just like plot twists that keep happening in this case, like I can't keep up.
Like this does not feel real. Who is writing this?
Oh, gosh.
Keep going.
So crazy. So September 18th, they just continue searching for both Gabby and Brian. Police searched a vast Florida wildlife reserve on Saturday, on the 18th, this past Saturday, for Brian. And across the country in Wyoming, they searched for Gabby, basically. The search was called off Saturday night when it got dark in Florida, and they hadn't found anything. I got a Fox News update about that, I remember, on Saturday, and I was like, yeah, they didn't find him.
Yeah, I saw a video of that area. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's once again, and I don't mean to talk so callously about it, but unless he unalives himself, they're not gonna find him. It's too much. Like, it's too much stuff. Yeah. He's too well prepared. He had so much time.
I doubt he's still in the country.
Really? I feel like he's still in the country.
You think so?
I think so.
I think if he's got any shot at never being found, he either had to unalive himself or leave the country, I would think.
I agree. I feel like he's trying to wait it out. I think he's trying to wait it out. But the thing is, how did he?
That is naive, though. This is not dying down.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Mm-hmm. But like, how would he leave the country, though? I mean, I guess like a fake ID and stuff. But I mean, he'd walk.
There's an ocean.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good point. So I'm like, if he walks into that airport, his picture's gonna literally be right there, like in those movies.
I don't know what kind of money or connections his family has, but people can get away with sketchy stuff. I don't know.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. So September 19th is the day that Gabby's body was found in Wyoming. They didn't say right away that it was for sure Gabby's, but they said it likely was.
Yeah.
That was, hard pill to swallow for a lot of us.
Yeah, I was at the gym, and like, they have like the news on the TV, and I was finishing up at like 5 something or another, and it was like at 6 they're gonna do a press conference. So like, I got home, showered real quick, and I opened up my laptop to watch the press conference, and I was like, I hate this. I was hoping, like, half of me was like, oh, if it's not her body, maybe it's someone else's. But then I was like, oh, I also don't, like, that's sad for that family too.
I mean, any body being found in that condition, like out in the middle of nowhere like that, is just so awful. Like, no matter whose it is.
Yeah.
That's a human life.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in the same boat. I was like, I wanted to hope it wasn't Gabby's, because I sort of felt like this personal connection to her from reading so much on the case and like following it and stuff. But I was like, but is it going to be better if it's someone else?
Yeah.
I mean, no.
Yeah.
So that was a huge bummer to hear.
That was so sad.
I really was hoping and praying that they would find her alive. I just remember oh my gosh, I'm not gonna remember the girl's name, but a couple of years ago in Wisconsin, there was a girl. Oh gosh, what was her name? Hold on, I'm gonna do a quick Google.
Okay. And while you do that, I'll say my 2 cents on the find her alive. Yeah. Initially I definitely thought she was dead, like that, definitely. But then after a while, I did think, you know what, maybe she was alive and like was hitchhiking and couldn't get to some sort of, or like maybe she was like trapped somewhere and like was needing water, like those people that get trapped under rocks and things like that, and like they find them. I was hoping it was going to be something like that after a while. Like
that crossed my mind too, because I was wondering if maybe like Brian just kind of saw it as an opportunity to take off, and then that she would die and it would look like it was of natural causes and he would be off the hook, or like whatever it might be.
That was when I was thinking that he just maybe like, so one of my theories was that they got in a huge fight and then he just drove off and left her and was like, whatever, you figure it out, you'll get home. So that in that scenario, I was like, okay, well, maybe she's just like trapped somewhere in the desert and she's like dehydrated, but they're gonna find her and they're definitely not going to get married, and he should suffer some sort of repercussion because he should have reported that she was missing, but it'll all work out. That's what I thought. But I was wrong.
Yeah, as was I. Okay, so the case I was talking about was Jamie Kloss. Are you familiar with that one?
That name sounds familiar.
Okay, I'll describe it to you like real quick. I'll give you the cliff notes. So
Okay.
basically,
I'm
this
looking her up
girl,
too.
she lived in like this tiny town in Wisconsin. I followed this like pretty closely because it happened very close to where my grandparents live, and my grandparents live in the middle of nowhere, and nothing like this ever happens. So I was following this when it was happening. This happened in like 2018, I want to say. Yeah. But so her parents were found murdered and she was missing. And basically it was this huge mystery. Nobody knew where she was. They were like searching for her. She was missing for something like 45 days, something like that. She was the entire time being held captive in this creep's house, and she managed to break out, and she was like wandering down the street when someone found her. Like, nobody was expecting her to be found alive. Nobody knew what had happened. People were speculating that like this girl was 13. People were speculating she had like an older boyfriend and they had this like murder plot, but no, this guy was totally random. He like saw her getting off of a school bus and decided, I have to have her. So he like broke into her house one night, killed her parents, and kidnapped her. And she escaped, and she was found alive walking down the street. I remember getting that notification on my phone and being like, she's alive.
Wow.
It was crazy.
That's fascinating. I'm gonna have to hear a podcast on that or something.
Oh, there are for sure podcasts on it. Okay. Yeah, definitely listen to that. It's a very
that's a good story. Well, you know, it's sad that it happened, but it's good that she was found.
Extremely traumatized from it, but she's alive. You know?
And she definitely heal and help people from that. Wow. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Okay, so you were hoping something
that was what was in the back of my mind. Just this Jamie Kloss story was what was in the back of my mind this whole time. I was like, you know what? It's happened before. It can happen again. Prayer is powerful. But so it was a huge bummer for sure.
And can I tell you another thing that crossed my mind for a second? You know, Pretty Little Liars?
I never got into it.
Oh, okay.
I do know it though.
For those of you
the listeners like it, so go ahead.
For those of you that like know about it, for a second, you guys know like they thought they found Allie's body, but it was actually Bethany. So for a second, I was like, I wonder if this is even really Gabby. And then I was like, okay, no, this really isn't a movie. Like, this is real life. Even though it feels like it, it definitely feels like it with this person's missing, this person's, and then here's this new evidence. Like, but it's not. But yeah, for a hot second, I was like, oh, I wonder if could it be someone that just looks like Gabby? But that's not realistic.
Yeah. Okay. So then on September 20th, they did like a more in-depth search of the Laundrie's house. Investigators were inside the home with the family pretty much all day. The search warrant indicated they were looking specifically for Laundrie's computer. And that's kind of all that they have shared on it. Again, the investigation is ongoing, so they can't really tell us a lot, which is like totally understandable, but it's like, God, I gotta wonder what they were doing in that house all day.
Yeah. Well, I think this will be a good, is that pretty much the timeline?
Yeah, and then the only other thing that I have is yesterday, September 21st, the autopsy confirmed it was Gabby.
Okay, yeah.
They found, so.
Yeah, and they confirmed it was homicide.
And the cause of death was a homicide. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, what I was going to say is I think they'll keep not telling us too much is a good transition, because one thing that I do think is a negative about the attention is like so many people are like trying to figure it out, which is good. You know, they're helping. That's how they found the video of the van. That's how they found, and I think the video of the van is how they knew where to look. I'm pretty sure. So like people have really helped. Oh, the people that picked him up, that was a big clue too. So like, yeah, I think that those are all great things, but then there's people who I feel like sometimes people are getting in the way, and like I saw this.
There is definitely like a line you have to toe of like, is this helpful or is this harmful? And just like ask yourself that, you know?
Yeah. And like, I think that that's probably why the police, I know the police are tired. I'm sure they're like, oh my God, if we get one more TikTok thing, we're going to scream. So I'm sure that's why.
Imagine those like old grumpy guys all just like, if I have to watch one more TikTok.
Yeah, no, for real. Cause I mean, that's the other thing too. I saw this video and this girl she showed us that the person who created that fake Gabby page was actually his mom. I saw that and I was like, I saw it on Facebook and I was like, this is fantastic. Has she told the police or did she go straight to the internet? Because this is something that the police will absolutely need to know, that his mother created a fake page and before they found the body. So then there's, all this, like, there's just, but
then it's like, are these people just chasing clout? Like, do they just want to put forth this like conspiracy theory and see how many clicks and likes they can get on their TikTok or their tweet or whatever? And it's like, guys, come on, this is about somebody's life. This is not a joke to people. It's very serious.
And that, I mean, no offense to the people who believe this, no offense to the person who did this, but I really do think like the book theory, I don't know if you've heard that, people are like, oh, he's trying to live out a book. To me, I think that's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I think that's silly. I think that's would go into the category of like harmful, not helpful. Like, or at least I guess maybe in your group chat discuss it. I don't know. I think there's definitely a lie.
I mean, it's just like, I always like the comparison I would make, which is like stupid, but is the people who watch The Bachelor and who talk shit about the contestants in their group chat with their friends versus the people who go straight to their Instagram page and like hate comment. It's like, there's a difference. Like, they're never going to see it if you're just talking with your friends, but if you're commenting on their page, like those are real people on the other end of those comments. It's like, you got to just ask yourself, like, is what I'm putting into the world helpful or is it hurtful?
Yes, exactly.
And if it's hurtful, don't say it, or text it to your best friend, and then nobody will ever see it except for them.
And you guys can speculate and discuss and giggle or whatever you want to do about it, but that's my only gripe about it becoming so. And I know I'm kind of annoyed. I know the police is they're probably like, we have to watch one more TikTok, because I mean that's where it's kind of grew its popularity. They
just get bogged down with stuff. It becomes hard for them to decipher, is this legit or are they wasting our time? It happens in every high profile case like this.
Yeah. And that was the next thing I was going to say too. Like, it's going to be hard for them to decipher, like, what lead do we follow? Because, and the other one, someone posted in a Facebook group of men like, oh my goodness, you think this is him on the security camera? And to me, it was like, obviously not him, but I'm like, dang, now the police is going to have to look into that.
Yeah.
And it's just tiny things. And I don't know. But so that kind of leads to, I asked my Facebook page, like, why do we think people care so much about this? Let's see here.
I saw this post this morning and I scrolled through every comment on it and I was like, this is a fantastic question, because I always ask this about these cases that just blow up. I'm kind of like, what is it about this case that people are just intrigued by?
Yeah, like some of these, I'm just like I said, there's people who are not even into true crime that are like glued to their phones trying to figure this out. And some of the responses, I'm just going to read or like we can discuss a couple. One I kept getting a lot was somebody just straight up said because she's white. And I don't necessarily think it's because she's white. I think it's a combination of like, the reality is she's pretty. People like the halo effect,
right?
She's pretty. It's interesting that she's young. I think it's more of a combination of that, as opposed to just strictly race. I don't think it's like a strictly race thing.
Yeah, I think and I've thought a lot about that too. I've read about the missing white woman syndrome or whatever that they use in the media, and I have really like tried to think critically about that. And I think that there could be some truth to it, but I think the people to blame for that is probably the media, because they are the ones telling us which cases to care about, because they're the ones putting it out there. And so if they're reporting more on this missing white woman than they are on missing Black people, Indigenous people, whatever, then that's who we're going to be seeing.
And that was going to be my next point. Like, people were like, oh, so-and-so is missing and I haven't heard a peep about it. Well, yeah, we can't talk about it. We don't know about it. Like, now that we know about it, let's hope that we can talk about it, but it's not our fault if we don't know about it. We can't spread awareness if we don't know about it. But I do think like people do find, for example, Lacey Peterson, beautiful woman. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. I think we just find just a human nature. We find I don't want to say like attractive people, because that's not the right word, but I'm going to be honest with you. I have been thinking about this, you know, especially the whole race aspect. And a lot of people did say, so one person just said straight up because she's white, but other people said because she's young, because she's pretty. But I have thought about it, and like a lot, I haven't really, like, I can't really name any person that has gone missing, that has gotten popular, that wasn't like objectively attractive.
I know. I actually was just making a list in my head too. Like Natalie Holloway, Kristen Smart, Lacey Peterson, Gabby Petito, all of them are like young, attractive, like people we want to root for, people we want them to find. We want justice. And you know,
even oh gosh, why can I not think of her name? Faith Hedgepath. She's Native American. She was gorgeous. Like, beautiful. I can't really think of anyone that was not attractive. Now, and you know, statistically, that doesn't mean that objectively unattractive people aren't kidnapped or murdered, but I don't know. That's just something that I've noticed. Like, I can't think of anyone that was not objectively attractive. So I do think that kind of does play a little bit in like our interest in it. I mean, we like to see attractive people on TV.
I mean, yeah, think about it. I was just going to say, think about like the influencers or the people that you follow on Instagram. They're all attractive too. The people on reality TV, the people, it's just our culture, I think, to want to like consume media that is surrounding attractive people. I think that's definitely part of it.
Yeah. And now that I'm like thinking about it, like so that was one of the things. Someone, I want to make a comment on this. Someone said that she was an actor, and I really, really, really like a crisis actor. I loathe when people do that. I
dumped a guy because of this one time.
Good for you. I loathe that. Whether you think it's a big deal or not, because that was another thing. Some people commented, well, I don't care. And I'm like, okay, but I wasn't like, then why? Anyway, but like whether you care
really
or not,
discredits the very real experiences that people had.
Yes.
And oh my gosh. I got no time for it. That is some Alex Jones conspiracy stuff that I just want no part of.
That I want to say, like, I love that. I cannot stand that. Like,
I can't
please
either.
do not come to me if you're. No.
I'm not even gonna give that a second thought.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that was awful. I hated that. Some people said that it's a way for the media to cover up Afghanistan, because Afghanistan, they have not reported on that. Now, I don't. I'm on the fence about whether that. So I think. But how did they know we would care so much? I guess that's my thing. Like,
the media's manipulative.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it.
I could see them.
I don't think that was the intention. I think when it comes to the media, I think they probably reported on it, saw that people were like getting interested, and then just totally ramped it up because they knew people were so interested in it.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I don't think it's this big evil conspiracy. We have to hide Afghanistan. Some people said hiding the stuff going on at the border. I don't think that. I
will say this is overshadowing that, both of those things. But I don't know that I would go so far as to say that the media like did it on purpose.
Is intentional, or has malicious intent behind it.
Yeah, there's just a lot going on right now.
And I mean, that's a very good point as well. We need to have like a come to Jesus like light episode soon, because
a little
there's
palate
just
cleanser.
yeah, there's just a lot of stuff going on right now in the US in general.
Yeah.
Let me see some of the other ones. A lot from women were saying how, like, this person says, we saw the video of someone said, okay, we saw the footage of them pulled over and her so emotional. It made us feel like we knew her. And then we are emotionally invested in people that we know. And I'm like, yeah, I
think too, there's a certain amount of like relatability
yes
to her. I think a lot of us have, maybe not to the extent that Gabby and Brian's relationship was, but been in a not great relationship that we can sort of relate to her.
That was the next thing I was going to say. A lot of women were just saying how like they feel as if they have been this girl in an abusive relationship. And that is one thing I will say. We're not allegedly, I'll just put it that way, right. Allegedly in an abusive relationship, and they just see themselves in her. And I think that oh gosh, I think that's sad to me. That
it is.
Let's see what else people said. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just, I think a silver lining we can maybe find from this is to like check on your friends, you know. Yes. Even if you think they're in this perfect relationship, they're always posting on Instagram about how great their relationship is, like make sure that's actually the case, you know.
Yeah,
sometimes they might feel like they have no one to talk to about it, and they might lie to you, like a lot of people who are in abusive relationships like that will. But just reach out, extend the olive branch, and men, like, treat your woman right.
Yeah. Well, and a little bit to what you said at the beginning, someone said it's the whole Instagram versus reality thing. And I think that is,
which is a very real thing, I think.
Absolutely.
And I'm fascinated by it because I feel like there are couples that I like follow on Instagram, or like, you know, a girl I knew from way back that I follow on Instagram who's dating this guy who's like constantly posting. And like the only interaction I have with her is on Instagram because it's like someone I knew from years ago, you know, and I have like several of these types of people that I follow. I always just wonder, I'm like, is their relationship actually as perfect as they're making it seem on Instagram? I always wonder.
Yeah. And I think that is, and I think this is like real time of like how that is. And I think it also too, another just thing to think about is like, we are watching people's highlight reels. We cannot do not take the internet seriously. Touch grass. That's a term I heard people use. I'm going to start using that now. We all need to get out there and touch some grass. Like, it's not, I like that. Yeah, me too. Me too. I think the youths are saying it now.
Yeah, I know. I get sick of the highlight reel sometimes too. I know, like last year around the holidays, I was single at the time, and everyone I knew was getting engaged. And I was like, why am I sitting here scrolling through watching all of these people get engaged when I know it's making me sad? Like, I'm happy for them. Like, I'm glad that they're happy, but it's making me sad. So I just deleted my Instagram for like a couple of months because I was like, I don't need to subject myself to this. And I think we all need to kind of just root ourselves, ground ourselves, and like remind ourselves that we don't need to be consuming things that are making us sad.
Yes, exactly. That, go out and touch some grass. Do different breaks for Valentine's Day. I take a break from Instagram because I'm happy for all my friends. I genuinely am. But the reality is that, you know, that just isn't something that I want to see
without liking their Instagram posts.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that it's just a reminder that we're just seeing people's highlight reels. We have no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
Oh yeah.
We have no idea. Other reasons people were saying, another person said that, talked about the video. Well, one person said like the people want to feel like they're doing something. And I think that's another point too. I think that's why people are like really like on TikTok, all right, they want to feel like they're a hero. Like it's so this person was like, it's an American thing to feel like you're a hero. And that's true. I'm not gonna lie. Like I heard this case about a girl missing in Shelby, North Carolina. And I remember thinking, all right, when I retire, that's what I'm gonna do the podcast that's gonna find her.
Sit down and I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit down. I don't have the time now, but I'm gonna find her. Because that's just something we all like. It's just something
for sure. I think there's too, like, and I don't know if you're like about to say this, but I think there's something too that's appealing to people about the fact that this is unraveling in front of us, essentially. Like, it's happening now. This is not something that happened 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it might be. Like, we're in the middle of it right now. So I think there's some sort of like morbid fascination with the fact that, I don't know, because I don't know about you, when I'm listening to true crime podcasts, I like to play the how old was I when this happened game? What was I doing when this happened? You know, oh, I was this year in college. It was this season. Oh, I was probably at a swim meet, you know, like whatever it might be, like when this happened. And it's like, it's happening now. So I think there's some sort of like fascination with that.
And I mean, like we said, it feels like we're in a movie. Like we said earlier, it feels like we're with this twist, with this turn, this person's missing. The body was found. When will we know who it really, like, it feels like we're in a movie. And I think people are just really fascinated by that. And let's see. And this is really interesting. Someone said this person goes, I think it's one of the first cases that had national attention. This is a Gen Z person. Let me just triple check. Yeah, she's young. This is not the first case, but it's okay, sweetie.
All right. I got you.
But she said that has made national attention because she first went missing. She could have been in a number of states. Plus, the BF fled the country. But with her being part of Gen Z, there was an instant kinship felt by many on TikTok, which is where the case started blowing up. Her parents did an excellent job of posting all over social media, asking for help and asking for clues. The clues that seemed to make a break in this case were shared on social media. The TikToker girl who picked him up as hitchhiking, and the vloggers who had the footage of the van. Suddenly, anyone had the opportunity to help and make a difference, so they wanted to.
I almost like from that, I almost heard like, we're fascinated by this because she's like one of us, you know?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah, one of us Gen Z's or
you know
what I'm trying to say.
She's all over that TikTok, Instagram, like, and so I don't know. And she was like really very much like putting her life out there for us to see.
Yeah.
I think that might be part of it. And then they do have a good point where they are saying it truly is a national case. They were crossing state lines. They started in New York. They went to the West Coast. Brian's in Florida. Who knows where he is now? You know, it truly is everywhere happening. So it's not just like some local case like that only people in your city would hear about. It's truly national. Yeah.
And I think so we probably should start wrapping it up. We've definitely gone well over an hour. But it's a bonus episode. No. It's fine. This is a bonus episode, and people really want to hear it, they'll hear it.
Right.
So I did want to talk a little bit about, like, there is some truth in what we were saying earlier about people. So I looked it up. 59,369 women, females over 21 go missing a year. This is from Statista.com. I can put that somewhere for everybody. So, I mean, there is a good point to it being like, okay, there are so many people who are disappearing. I think this is another thing, I guess, to wrap it up for my opinion on why it got famous is, I think, like we said earlier, I think she's young and pretty. I think that the other aspect, I think, and this is going to sound terrible, but I think this is the truth. It's an unusual case. A lot of these people go missing after maybe a night drinking, after going down the street, and like thousands of other women go missing the exact same way. But this case has a couple of twists, and I think that is what interests people. And with the rise of true crime, with the rise of Americans are desensitized to so many things. I mean, anyway, I can go hours on that conversation, but with our desensitization on so many things, our obsession with true crime, for cases to really pick up and be popular, I hate to say it, it seems that there has to be something extra.
There has to be like an attention grabber.
Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of
this case is kind of like the perfect storm.
Yeah.
All of those things that you mentioned, the Instagram, she's young, she's beautiful, she puts her life out there for us to see. It was happening all over the country. It's happening right now. Yeah. People like it's like Gabby is almost like, it's just someone you want to root for. It's someone you want you want to see justice brought.
20 years from now, just like how people are like, oh, where were you with OJ? We're going to be saying, oh, where were you when you found out about Gabby? It's going to be the exact same.
I think so.
Same thing. Did you want to say, I'm sorry, I'm so tired. Did you want to say, not your lesson? We're not at lessons yet. Did you want to say, why you think it was famous?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. Again, I think it was just the perfect storm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to end it now with lessons. You want to say your lesson first?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on it earlier, but I think it's just reach out to your friends, even if they're seemingly living this perfect life, extending that olive branch could just make all the difference. So yeah, no, I agree. I think my lesson is going to be, so I really think that it was one of those relationships where they were trying to force something to make it work and it just wasn't. I think every woman, specifically because it's a woman podcast and it was a woman that was murdered, if something is not working, then it's just not working. It shouldn't be hard.
It should not be hard.
Relationships are hard, but they shouldn't be that hard.
Your boyfriend, husband should not leave you hyperventilating, sobbing in a car. It should not be that hard. If something's not working, then it's just not working. You have to move on. You have to just move to the next thing. I'm sure it's hard, but you have, if something's not working, it's just not working. I really think that they were just trying to make something work that did not work, and then it just blew up for whatever reason. We have no idea how, why, what, we don't know anything, but for whatever reason it blew up. And I want everyone listening just to remember, if it's not working, it's not working. You just move on.
Know what you deserve, girl. If your man's not treating you right, kick him to the curb.
Exactly. There is no reason to take any of that. No, absolutely no reason.
Yeah. You can do better and you deserve to do better.
Yes. Amen. And we'll end on that. Thanks everybody for listening to this spontaneous bonus episode. If you stay to the end, we really appreciate that.
I appreciate all 5 of you. I really do.
Yeah. We really appreciate that. If you want to continue this conversation, head on over to our Facebook page. If you want to tell us why you think it was popular, if you want to tell us your theories or how you feel about the case, head on over to the Facebook page. Maybe I'll post something so you guys can discuss it there. But yeah, make sure you rate, review, subscribe. If you enjoyed this, follow. We're going to be back with a regular episode soon on a really good topic. I'm excited.
We got a big one coming.
Yeah, it's going to be a 2-parter. This probably should have been a 2-parter, but that's okay.
Probably, but that's okay. Hindsight's 2020.
It's a bonus. It's a bonus episode. I keep saying that it's a bonus episode. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Bye.
All right. Bye.